Gaming. Gamers say a lot of things, a lot of words. Some you might know, some you might not. No, not those types of words. Have you ever wanted to test your knowledge, or maybe you're looking to learn? Well, right now I'm gonna take you through the gaming slang iceberg. You know how an iceberg works, but if not, we're gonna start at the top where these terms are most known and in the public eye. Then the lower we go, the more likely you will not know about them. Comment down below what terms you haven't heard before and let me know if there's any I missed. Let's begin. The first layer is the everything is Nintendo layer. This is where your grandpa is. To them, everything is Nintendo. Whether it's a PlayStation or an Xbox, it's all just Nintendo to them. That's just how it is, and that's pretty much it for this tier, so we'll move down to the next one. This is for people who know of video games. They've heard of like a noob, a no-scope, camping. You might know a few acronyms like GG meaning good game, AFK means away from the keyboard, DLC is downloadable content. They're probably smart enough to understand that PvP means player versus player or person versus person. XP is experience. RPG is role-playing game. Pretty simple stuff. You are aware of the world in this tier. Delving down deeper, we get to the stage of you are a gamer. You're deep enough in games to know what most of the useful terms are, like a smurf. So a smurf is where a pro or a high-ranked player gets a second or sometimes even third or fourth account for various reasons. Whether it's because they want to keep the rank on their main or they just want to destroy low-leveled players. Boosting is when you have somebody play on your account, getting you to a higher rank than what you deserve. If you play poorly in high-ranked accounts, people will call you boosted. B-hopping is something particularly in Source Engine games. It's a way of moving your body while jumping to continuously gain speed. Most people know about no-scoping, but hard-scoping is a term that I rarely hear nowadays. It's pretty much the opposite of no-scoping, you're just staring down the scope. FF means forfeit. CC means crowd control. At this tier, you become less of a novice of the acronyms, like DPS meaning damage per second, dot meaning damage over time. For example, if you get burned with fire in a game, and you're slowly ticking down health, that's dot, that's damage over time. Splash damage and AoE are kind of similar. If an enemy places down a bomb, it might hit you because you are within the area of effect. And splash damage is the way that you were hurt. You might not have been hit directly by the bomb, but you took the splash damage. FOV is field of view. If you don't have this in your game, then screw you. RNG is random number generator. SMP is survival multiplayer. Like from Minecraft. ELO and MMR are kind of linked. They're both ways of calculating how good you are in comparison to like everyone else. NG plus or New Game Plus is when you are given a second chance to play through the game again with the same stats and gear that you had before. Normally they buff the enemy stats too to make it harder. Someone who is sweaty is the exact type of person you think they are. They're trying so hard in a game that they are physically sweating in real life. Shovelware is pretty much anything made for the Wii or all those games that are in a $5 crate at your local thrift store. Wiping is when everyone on your team dies. You've wiped. So I'll explain stun and stun lock. Stun is when you can't attack or do anything, but if you get stunned back to back, you are stun locked. Being tilted is the act of getting upset at something, causing your gameplay to be worse, causing you to get more upset at stuff. It's easy to visualize your mental as like a balancing board, and you can tilt a little bit and come back from it, but once you've fully tilted, there's no coming back. Salty is similar, it's just being upset. And the last term for this tier is a whale. A whale is somebody who spends a ton of money on microtransactions compared to the average person. I'm talking a ton. And we're moving on to the next tier. At this level, you've been gaming. You understand the difference between ads and ads, aim down sights, and additional enemies added to your fight. You might be aware of speedrunning terms like sequence breaking It's pretty much if there's a sequence like a cutscene in a game, and then you do a glitch or something in order to skip it and break that sequence of events. QQ means to just quit. In Warcraft 2, if you pressed Alt QQ, you would completely close out of the game and forfeit your match. So if someone's telling you to QQ, that means they're telling you to forfeit and quit out of the game at the same time. Sistering is normally an MMO term for when your guild is in alliance with another guild. Pressing F for respects is something you see on Twitch all the time. Whenever a stream goes down, the chat will spam F. And the reason why it's so low on the iceberg is because most people forget that it's from a Call of Duty game. Another term that's kind of lower for a different reason, a squeaker. When I was growing up, people were called squeakers all the time because of the pitch of their voice. BM stands for bad manners. I thought this came from fighting games like Street Fighter, but when I looked it up, I couldn't find anything to back this up. I don't know if it's just an older term or if I got older, but I haven't heard it in a while, and that's why it's so low. VAC is a type of anti-cheat that Valve uses on Steam. If you got VAC banned, it means you got banned for cheating. A pub is a public lobby. Again, a simple term, I don't hear people use it nowadays. If you know a lot about gaming, you might know that a dolphin is an emulator, but that's not what it means on this list. Dolphin on this list is basically somebody who spends a moderate amount of money, kind of like a whale, but not fully a whale. They're a dolphin. Demakes are some of my favorite form of media of all time. Companies normally remake games for newer consoles, but this begs the question, what if we made a new game look like it was a PS1 game? Super fun. I wish more people made these. A transmog is a fancy term for changing your outfit. Gib or instagib it stands for ground into bits. It's a term that used to be super popular with shooters where you would one-shot someone and their body would explode. Wallbang is another shooter term. If you shoot someone through the wall and kill them, that's a wallbang. Cranking 90s is a Fortnite term. It's a technique in order to build structures really fast. If you were good at the game back in the day, you probably know what this is, but I had never heard of it before. That's all for this tier. We'll move on to the next. All right, in this one, you are either really old or gaming is your life. Xpeke and C9. Esports terms are interesting because they're so specific to that game, they don't really blow up outside of that circle. League of Legends has a mechanic where if you destroy the enemy base, you win. Xpeke is a player who's famous for backdooring the enemy base and winning the game with like 1 HP. There's so much to this one moment that's really exciting, but that's pretty much the gist of it. If someone solo wins the game off a backdoor, that's an xpeke. C9 is not just a popular esports organization, it's also a term in Overwatch. When a team is so worried about killing the enemy that they lose due to the objective. Telefrag is an interesting concept. It's the idea of teleporting into somebody's body, causing them to die. It used to be bigger in FPS games, but you don't see it nowadays unless somebody purposefully puts it into the game. A gimp is, well, it could mean a few things. In Smash Bros, it's the idea of stopping someone from getting back on the stage. In WoW, it's someone who is using underleveled or useless armor. Twink guilds or twinks are kind of the opposite. In WoW, if you give an underleveled player really good gear, they are a twink. And if you have a whole guild of twinks, that's a twink guild. It also means a skinny gay guy. Everyone knows RNG, but at a certain point you realize that RNG isn't as random as you think it is. So you start to pray to rngesus. Abandonware and vaporware are pretty similar. Abandonware is self-explanatory. Abandonware is pretty self-explanatory. It's when a developer completely abandons their game. Vaporware is when something has been advertised, but it's not finished or it hasn't even been made yet. Sometimes getting a release date, sometimes staying vaporware forever. MUD stands for multi-user dungeon, usually text-based games. These are some of the earliest online games ever. Asymmetrical gameplay is the concept of making the game different for each player, whether it's because of the choices made or because the world is random. Asynchronous games are games where multiple people don't have to be playing at the same time, like trivia crack. A corruptor is something that people use usually for older games to make like glitches happen or completely corrupting the game state. It's mainly for fun to see what happens visually. Sound whoring is when there's a voice chat and someone is either yelling or playing loud music into it. This was huge in Call of Duty and Counter-Strike lobbies. Again, I don't really see much of this nowadays. Pervasive games are ones that utilize the real world, like Pokemon Go. PSW, or a persistent state world, is one that keeps changing after you log off. And this is the final part of the iceberg. This is the deepest part that we're going into now. There's only one word in this tier, and honestly, I haven't even looked at it yet. Let's look together. Are you ready? All right. Oh, no, no, no.